What's up, peeps? It's your boy CJ, and today we're comparing the Powermatic Prx versus the Quartz. Let's get it. And no, I don't double wrist. All right, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Both the Powermatic and Quartz feature a 316L stainless steel case size of 40 millimeters, case thickness of 10.9 on the Powermatic and 10.4 millimeters on the Quartz, lug to lug of 39.5, see-through case back on the Powermatic while the Quartz has a solid case back. Movement is the Powermatic 80 by Tissot, while the Quartz has a Quartz FO6 movement. Price for these bad boys is 575 Australian dollars for the Prx Quartz and 395 USD for the Quartz, while the automatic comes in at 1.1 thousand Australian dollars, while it's a nice 675 USD for everybody in the States. I'll put the other prices here, as you can see. Now let's move on to the differences. So let's talk about the differences. When we really break it down, there's not much. Same bracelet, same case shape and design, same features mostly, but the three differences are the thickness, the movement, and the big elephant in the room is the dials. So let's have a chat about them. Let's start with the Powermatic. So for me, I love a dial that has texture. Pattern, layers, texture are always a standout for me. So I really appreciate seeing a bit of depth on this dial with that beautiful pattern. And I like that they kept it quite minimal with the labeling or the fonts regarding Tissot, Powermatic 80, Prx, and Swiss made. It's a gorgeous watch, beautiful design, and the dial is something special indeed. But the problem I find is, number one, if I'm being honest, I felt like it was a big cash grab for Tissot to make a waffle dial. The Genta design is clearly being used and abused, if we're being honest, in the watch world. And to see it repeated here and have the waffle dial that's reminiscent of the AP Royal Oak, I didn't quite like that from the start. The other problem with it is, because of that waffle dial and it being a darker blue, I feel like the light play is not as nice as I'd like it to be. It's almost muted half the time, as you can see here with the lights. While the one I prefer, which is the Quartz, has quite a bit of a standout when it comes to light play. That sunburst dial with that subtle texture that you can barely see there. It gives off a matte effect, but also beautiful rays as the light just bounces around the dial. That contrast of darkness and some brightness, I feel really make it that more cleaner. I like how the dial separates from the chapter ring on the edges there, giving it that subtle depth, even though there's barely any depth on this dial. Again, very minimal with the Tissot 1983 and Prx and Swiss made, but it's something that I quite like, and I find it quite a looker. Let's look at comfort when it comes to the size differences. So as you can see, they both wear quite well with these pocket shots. The Quartz model, nice and snug, clearly better fit subjectively. Lighter weight provides that good clean look, and it has that heft that's there enough for you to feel that the watch is substantial while also making it light for that sort of everyday dressy or sporty activity that you might get into. Let's have a look at this Power 80. So the Power 80 wears just as good as the Quartz model. The only added difference is that extra heft and weight, which arguably is a good thing for some. not so much for others, but I feel like it's minimal enough that it isn't so much of a burden or negative when it comes to the actual watch. So let's talk sizing. I mean, when it comes to this 40mm case, I find that it's quite alright on the majority of wrists, even though the lug to lug is just under 40 mils. It's clearly longer when it comes to these end links, and I find that the watch actually wears slightly bigger than what we expect. But I find with the hype of the 35mm that's just come out, it's far too small, at least for the majority of men out there. Perfect for people with smaller wrists, but I find it'll be a bit too dainty when it comes to the wear of the watch, and might feel it might lose that charm that I feel it currently has in the modern time, whereas the 35 would have more fit the era that this watch clearly comes from. Well, there it is. Both incredible watches. I personally prefer the Quartz over the Powermatic, but that's simply mainly based off the dial. What are your thoughts? I really want to know, do you honestly love the waffle dial of the Powermatic, or are you simply liking it just because it's an auto? Regardless, let's talk about it in the comments, and remember to watch out.